greetings to all. I hope you all are safe and healthy at your places. Myself, Dr. Manjusha Goyal, associated with Department of Management Studies at Rajkumar Goyal Institute of Technology. Today, I am here to discuss Unit 1 of Managerial Economics. I am going to discuss the basic concepts of managerial economics, like what is economy, what is scarcity, circular flow of activity. Then we will discuss different definitions given by different economists, then nature and scope of economics. So, these are the key points which I am going to discuss in today's lecture. So, we will start with the presentation. When we talk about economics, the first term that comes in our mind, that is economy, because economics is associated with economy. So, it is important to understand what economy is. Economy is the system of production, distribution and consumption of goods and services that a society uses to tackle the problem of scarcity of resources. Now, here the question arises that what is a system? Economics is a system. So, economy is a system means it is a framework. System means a framework in which anything can be deal of. And here in economy we are dealing with goods and services. Now, what is goods? Goods are all the tangible things. Tangible means the things which we can see and touch, like pen, like your remote, anything which we are eating, the table, the desk, the light, it could be anything. Whatever we are seeing and we are touching, that is a goods. So, all the tangible things which we are using, that is a good. Now, if I will talk about service, what is a service? Service is all the intangible things that we are using. It means the things which we cannot see, which we cannot touch, only we can feel, we can enjoy, that is a service. Like if I am talking about the education industry, that is a service industry. If I will talk about hospitality, that is again a service industry. If I will talk about transportation, that is again a service industry. So, in economy we are doing the production of goods and services. Production means originating or manufacturing or providing anything. Then we distribute these goods and services. Distribute means making goods and services available from the origin to the final consumer, that is a distribution. And then comes the consumption. Consumption means final consumption or final use of goods and services. So, in totality we can see that economy is a system of production, distribution, consumption of goods and services that a society uses to tackle the problem of scarcity of resources. Now, here is one more term that should be discussed, that is scarcity. What is scarcity? Scarcity, why scarcity arises? Now, if I talk about the reasons of scarcity, there are two things. One is unlimited wants. In an economy, we are dealing with the human beings. So, being a human being, we have a number of wants. There is no limits for wants. We have unlimited wants and resources are limited. So, due to unlimited wants and limited resources, we have scarcity concept. So, the origin of scarcity is due to unlimited wants and limited resources, which lead to the scarcity of resources. So, in an economy, when we are producing, distributing or consuming goods and services, we have to keep in mind that we have to consider the scarcity of resources, that resources should be used at a fullest capacity in an efficient way. This is the definition of an economy. There is one more definition which is written over here, that is economics refers to the conditions under which goods are produced in a society and the way people are gainfully employed. In an economy, when we are using these goods and services, when we are producing these goods and services, it will generate the employment in an economy, and when the employment is generated, it will lead to income, and again it will lead to the growth of a economy. So, with this we are able to understand what economy actually is. So, economy is actually a system of production, distribution, consumption of goods and services. Now, with the concept of scarcity, we are able to analyze, have to thought the three questions which comes into our mind, as resources are scarce and we have to use them efficiently. So, it is very important to consider the three questions which we have to deal in economics, that is what to produce, how to produce and for whom to produce. These are the economic questions which we have to solve as a part of economic. Then what to produce? What to produce means what type of product we want to produce in our economy, whether we want to produce a capital product, whether we want to produce a consumer durable like eatable or any electronic item, or we want to produce a machinery, we want to produce for a computer. Means with the given resources which are scarce in the economy, what we have to produce, what we want for our economy, for the development of economy, for the growth of economy, that we have to decide that what we want to produce. Then comes the next question, that is how to produce. How means with which technique we are going to produce. What technique we are going to use means whether we want to use a labor intensive technique or whether we want to use a capital intensive technique. Labor intensive technique means more use of labor. When we are using for our production process more of labor for production, so it will lead to employment generation, it will lead to income generation, it will lead to growth. So, in that way we are able to do the economic will enhance. So, we have to decide that what we want, in which direction we want to go. We need a labor intensive or capital intensive, as capital intensive technique will focus on the quality product, because we are using more of machinery, we are using more of technique. So, with the help of more use of technique and machines, the quality of the product will improve, but simultaneously sometime it will happen that it will lead or it will affect the employment level also. So, now being a part of economy, it is important that we will decide that which technique we want to use, which is better for our economy for the growth, labor intensive, capital intensive or a combination of both. It is on us to decide. Then comes the third question, for whom to produce. For whom to produce means for which category we want to produce. Whatever we are producing, whatever technique we are using, for whom, whether we want to produce for a rural class, whether we want to produce for an upper class, we want to produce for our villages, means what type of product we are producing, whether we want the development in a rural area. So, in that case we have to move in that direction, but if we want to have a development in urban area, we are moving in that direction. So, these are the very critical questions of economics which we have to consider while taking any action, what to produce, how to produce and for whom to produce. Then comes the very important concept of economics, that is circular flow of economic activity. Here in this diagram I am explaining the circular flow of two sector economy. In this diagram we divide the whole society in two parts. One is your business class and the other one is your household. So, here we explain that how these two are interlinked, or how the money flows from business class to household and from household to business class. To interact with these two, there are two markets available. One is your product market and the other one is your factor market. Now, question arises, what is factor market? So, factor market is a place where all the factor of productions are made available. As we know that there are four factor of production, those are land, labor, capital and entrepreneur. These are the four important factor of production which are required by any industrial organization to have a manufacturing of a product. So, these four factor of productions are made available from household to factor market, and from factor market they moves to business class. They are using these factor of production for producing a commodity, and in return the industries are paying factor payments. Factor payments means whatever service they are availing from these four factor of production, they have to make a payment of that. So, if I will talk about the land, so in economics if I will talk about land, land is all the natural resources which we are using, and for land they have to pay the rent, that is a factor payment. For labor, labor is any mental or physical work done by someone. So, that is the next factor of production, and for labor they are getting wages or salaries. For capital, capital is the initial amount invested in any business, which is very important. So, if we are arranging capital from any of the source, we have to again make a payment for that. So, for capital we have to pay the interest. Now, the last but not the least factor of production is your entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is a person who is taking a risk, who has an innovation ability. So, for taking a risk he should get the profit. So, from factor market businessmen get all the 4 factor of production, and in return they have to make a factor payment, which will become the income for household. So, in that way the money moves from business class to household class. Now, with that money the households move to product market. Now, what is product market? Product market is a place where goods and services are bought and sold. So, in product market goods and services are moved from business class, as they produce the goods and services with the help of factor of production, and they kept those goods and services in product market, and from product market these goods and services move towards the household, and return household pay the money to buy those products, and that moves to business class. So, this is a 2 sector circular flow of economic activity. In this way money flow from businessmen to households and households to businessmen. Businessman gets money by selling goods and services, and household got income by providing the factor of productions to the businessman. This is the circular flow of economic activity. Next come the definition part. Now, what actually economics is? So, if I say that economics is a social science concerned chiefly with the way society chooses to employ its limited resources which have alternative uses to produce goods and services for present and future consumption. So, in this definition we have the three terms: social science, limited resource and alternative uses. Economics is a social science. Why it is a social science? As that question comes in our mind. It is a social science because it deals with the human being, it deals with the society, it deals with the problems faced by the society, and it studies the human behavior. So, that is why economics is a social science, and it is concerned with the choice that society has to maintain to do with its limited resources. As we know that in any economy, whether it is a human resource or whether it is a material resource, all the resources are in limited quantity. We have to choose where we have to use. We have to be very careful while using the resources which are available in the economy, because we have alternative uses of the resources. As we know that all the resources have alternative uses, multiple uses, but we cannot use single resource simultaneously at two places. Like suppose if you have 100 rupees with you, then either you can buy a one time meal or you can buy a book for that. Now it is on you what choice you are making. So, in the same way in economy also we have different resources, but we have to choose that where we want to use that particular resource. If we have a construction material, that construction material can be used for constructing a building, can be used for constructing a bridge, can be used for constructing a school in rural area. Now it is on us that where we want to use that particular resource, what is our ultimate objective, what is our ultimate aim. So, accordingly we have to decide the use of those limited resources. So, that is the definition of economics, that it is a social science in which society has to choose that how they has to employ their resources which have alternative uses for present as well as future consumption. Now, there are many definitions given by many economists for defining economics, but we majorly define the four definitions which are given by different economists. So, there are four major definitions are the wealth definition given by Adam Smith, material welfare definition given by Alfred Marshall, scarcity definition given by Lionel Robbins, and fourth, growth definition given by Paul A. Samuelson. These all are the famous economists in their field, and they define these definitions according to their own point of view. We will discuss these definitions one by one. First, we will consider the wealth definition. Wealth definition is given by Adam Smith. Adam Smith is also known as father of economics. He says that economics is a science which study the nature and causes of wealth of a nation. Means he is emphasizing on the one term, that is wealth, that how wealth is means arised, how it is being used in our economy, that is the only study of economics. So, what wealth actually is? According to classical economists, wealth is all the goods and services which can be converted into money, which can be transacted into money. That is the definition of wealth. But these are this definition is criticized on this ground only, because according to classical economists only wealth is important and economics is only the study of wealth, but actually it is not like that, wealth is not only criteria which we have to consider. There are many other things which we have to consider, which classical economists ignore, like we are talking about the love, the happiness, the patriotism, the other feelings which are very important for a human being to survive. It is not only the wealth which is required. In fact, wealth is a medium to support the human being for the better being of the human manpower in a society. So, wealth definition is criticized on this ground that they ignore other feelings of the human being in the society. Then they think they are criticized that wealth, they define wealth in a very narrow term. Classical economists considered only material things under wealth. They ignore non-material concepts like your education, health, which is very important for any society to survive. Plus, they keep wealth on a higher platform and human being at a secondary place. Rather than wealth is required to support the human being, but they keep human being at a secondary place. So, all these are criticism of wealth definition, that they keep wealth at a superior place, human being at a secondary place, and they ignore other important aspects of life like your love and your happiness, your patriotism and all. So, then comes the next definition, which is given by Alfred Marshall. He is again known as father of economics. He gives welfare definition. Alfred Marshall says that economics is a mankind of ordinary business of life. It's inquire how he get his income and how he spend it. He emphasizes more on welfare. He says that it is a study of mankind, life means human being, and ordinary business of life. Ordinary business of life means the day-to-day earning capacity of a person. So, he says that economics is nothing but to study how he is getting the money, how he is earning the money and how he is spending for his own satisfaction. That is all about the welfare definition. But again, this definition have some criticism. The economists criticize this definition on the ground that welfare is a very subjective term. We cannot quantify the welfare concept. It is psychic in nature, because the concept of welfare change from time to time, from place to place, and it is different for person to person. It is different for one individual. For one individual, welfare means to help someone. For other individual, welfare means to greet himself or herself. So, welfare is different for, concept is different for different persons. So, it is very subjective term. So, we cannot measure it, and anything which we cannot measure it, we cannot define it as a economics. And the other criticism of this definition is that they define economics as a social science rather than a human science. So, on these ground, welfare definition given by Alfred Marshall is criticized. Then comes the next and the third definition, that is the definition of scarcity given by Lionel Robbins. Now, in this definition, Lionel Robbins says that economics is the science which studies human behavior as relationship between ends and square means, which have alternative uses. Here, Robbins emphasizes on the scarcity concept. He says that in any economy, resources are scarce. They are the two terms which he used in this definition, that is ends and scarce. Ends means the unlimited wants. According to Robbins, here end means unlimited wants, and scarce is the scarcity arises due to limited resources. So, he says that in economics we have to focus more on the scarce resources which have alternative uses to maximize the efficiency of resources and for the growth of the economy. But again, this definition is criticized by the economists that Robbins emphasizes only on the reducing the theory of resource allocation. He ignores other concept of economics like unemployment, resource allocation and growth and development. He is focusing on the resource allocation, but if the resources are used efficiently but are not used for the development purpose, then it is useless, because anything which is stagnant cannot survive for a long. So, for economic growth, it is required that not only resources are used efficiently, but they should be used in the direction for the growth. So, they should consider growth aspect also. So, this is the criticism of Robbins' definition. Plus, there does not take into account the possibility of increase in the resources, because as the economic development came, as the economy grows, so there is simultaneous increase in the resources also, which they have to consider, but Robbins ignores that. So, that is the criticism of scarcity definitions given by Robbins. Then comes the final definition of growth, which is given by Paul A. Samuelson. Paul A. Samuelson defined economics as economics is the study of how man and society chooses, with or without use of money, to employ scarce resources which have alternative uses to produce various commodities over time and distribute them for consumption now and in future among various people and group of society. So, Paul A. Samuelson considered all the lacunas of the previous definition. He considered the man and society, then with or without use of money, then he considered the scarcity of resources, alternative uses which can be used for present and future consumption. So, these are the plus point of this definition, that he not only considered the choice of scarce resources for the present, but as well as for the future also. Then he considered the he keep the concept of economic in a developed manner, as he considered both consumption, distribution, then production of economy and economic growth. Then he has a very dynamic concept in his definitions. So, these are the definitions of economics which are given by different economists, and growth definition is the final definition which is given by Paul A. Samuelson. Now, we come to the nature of economics, that how we define economics as a science. Why science? What is a science? Science is a systematic body of knowledge. So, in economics also we use the tools and techniques of science, and economics is an art. Art is the application of the knowledge and skill. In economics, we apply the tools and techniques according to the use of need of the hour. Economics is a positive science, as we are taking the data from the database as it is and keep in front of us. Economics is a normative science, as we not only take the data, but we try to find out the solution out of it. Then economics is a social science, because it is dealing with the society, the human being. That is why economics is a social science. So, these are the nature of economics, that economics is a science, it is an art, it is a positive science, it is a normative science, and it is a social science. So, that is all about the nature of economics. Then comes the scope of economics. In economics, we divide it in totality in two parts. One is microeconomics and the other one is macroeconomics. Microeconomics is the branch of economics that examine the functioning of individual industry, the behavior of individual decision making unit, that is business firms and household. Means in microeconomics we only talk about the individual company, individual product, individual industry. We are focusing on the problems of an individual unit. In macroeconomics, it is the branch of economics that examine the economic behavior of aggregate income, output, employment and so on a national scale. It means in macroeconomics we are dealing with in totality. We are talking about the nation, that what is the aggregate income, what is the total turnover of the economy, what is the employment level in the economy. We are talking about the whole economy as a complete unit. So, this is the scope of economics, that microeconomics is a single unit, and in macroeconomics it is we are talking about the whole unit. That's so. Let's have a brief of today's lecture. That thank you class.